Hi, Ethan. Hi, Jonathan, Kenneth, Roxanne. You like the rap? Girl. Christopher, Sarah, Hadara, Carol, and all those who are joining. And you know it has some go come to Macwell because they want to hear what I have to say. All of a sudden, they want to hear what Smith has to say. But it is what it is. We pledge. I solemnly pledge to dedicate my life to the service of my God and my country. I'll honor my parents, my teachers, my leaders, my elders, and all those in authority. I'll be clean and honest in all my thoughts, my words, and my deeds, and I'll strive in everything I do to work together with my fellow men of every creed and race for the greater happiness of all and the honor and glory of my country. Jonathan say 11-year-old 30 years militant. You know, as a soul there, you know. Again, thank you all for always coming to join with me. Hi, Augusto. And again, happy belated Mother's Day to all the mothers on the Witogriting and by extension, Trinidad and Tobago, and even further under the region and international, because we are international people here, you know. Every day should be Mother's Day. That work don't stop at all, at all, at all. But it's good to be serenaded for one day, but every day should be Mother's Day. So let me start the thing one time. I want to ask also not only who is the follower and who is the leader, and I want to know who is the puppet. And I want to know who pulling the strings. Who are the masters? Because just now it might have no string to pull. So let me start this thing, Papa. Let me start it. So let me see what's happening here. So I am seeing the health minister is saying, the health minister is Dr. Lakram Budu. He's calling on corporate Trinidad and Tobago to introduce sports and recreation programs to employees as a way to promote a healthier nation. Dr. Budu, I know you're trying, darling, you're coming the thing and you're coming excited, all that. But Dr. Budu, it has sports and thing all the time going on. Better you should say to introduce more. But then I started sports with, well, I don't know if it's still with all these prisons, this, that, everybody started sports, Dr. Budu, come now, to operate as if this is something new, a new novice idea. Say more now, that more corporate sponsors should have more. But we already have in sports. I know for PSA, it's a real sports day. The Ministry of Work is a real sports and this and that. So, you know, it's not a novel idea, but you want to get seen, I understand. I'm also seeing that the thousands in Paria honored La Divina Pastora. You know, there's a big thing down there. So hymns echoed through the streets of Paria yesterday as thousands gathered to observe the feast of La Divina Pastora, one of Trinidad and Tobago's oldest religious tradition. So that happened over the weekend. Also, Best Village has started. People get involved, come out and support your community, come out and support your family. Just come and enjoy, come and see the culture, the rich culture of Trinidad and Tobago, whether it's folk dance, whether it's music, whether it's dramatized literature. Come out and support them. The young ones are out there keeping up the culture, keeping it alive. Come out and support, right? Find out where they're having it. Come out is on weekends. So the whole family can come and be a part of it. I'm also seeing, hi Lorna, hi Lestra. I'm also seeing that Trinidad and Tobago Legions created history on Saturday by capturing the inaugural West Indies Breakout League with an exciting 17-run win over the Leeward Islands Thunder. So we getting on all those things in CNC3 News. It happened over the weekend. So that's some good news there. So let me start the thing on this. Well, I hope they get help, you know, because the Minister of Agriculture is, what's his name? Is it Ratiram, Minister Ratiram? I'm not sure. But he's a man who gets things around. Anywho, it says here, the Woodland residents demand urgent flood relief. As the height of the rainy season approaches next month, Woodland residents have renewed their calls for urgent action to address persistent flooding in the Oropuch drainage basin. Who is the member of parliament that said Oropuch? Not the tiger of Oropuch. How come they're always having problems? And again, I'm just asking. You go and live in areas that are flood prone, sometimes on banks or rivers and whatever, or they clear, or they do this and that, remove the silt, this. I'm not a geologist, but I'm just saying. And then every single year, sometimes twice, 3 times a year, depending on how the rain goes, you all want relief. And it is what it is, but I hope only get all the relief. Let me continue. So I'm seeing, hi Bernadette, I'm seeing in Tobago's, we're going on Tobago. Never a dull moment in Trinidad and Tobago and the world by extension. We live in those times now where social media take front page, so everything is out there for we to see. You can't hide nothing. Not like long time, a message used to take 14 days to reach abroad through via letter, or you had to ring on some phone somewhere, rotary phone, putting it 25 cents. But hello, here, man. Talk fast now. Before my 25 cents come and finish. Wait, only have 25 cents to give me. Hey, just give me 25 cents, please. I want to make. The days are not done, Papa? Everybody have a phone. And it's take picture, click, it reaching all over the world in a minute, just like the words and the message and the whatever. So we live in some exciting times. Sometimes the news is not so good, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's exciting, sometimes it's news that ought not to be even shared, but it is what it is. So I'm seeing here in CNC3 again, THA must pay $3 million over unlawful dismissals. The Tobago House of Assembly may have to pay more than $3 million to 13 contracted workers it fired after the 2021 elections. That's the fallout of an industrial court ruling delivered since April the 30th, which found the terminations were unfair, unlawful, and likely politically motivated. The court ordered the THA to compensate the workers for all outstanding vacation leave, pro-rated gratuity, and the full value of what was left on their contracts. The Advocate Trade Union A2U, which represented the group, has until May 29 to submit a breakdown of what each worker is owed. A final court order will follow by June 30th. Some of the 13 workers had been employed with the THA Community Partnership Unit, CPU, since 2009. But on March 31st, 2022, they were all called into a meeting and handed dismissal letters. The THA claimed that the CPU was being shut down as part of a restructuring, but the court said it found no proof of any real restructuring, no policy papers, meeting minutes, or even an updated organizational chart. Instead, it said the decision to fire the workers appeared rushed, harsh, and unsupported. It also pointed out several contradictions in the THA's defense. For instance, the dismissal letter said the CPU was under review, but in court, the THA claimed that the unit had already been abolished. The court also noted that a key meeting mentioned in the letter never actually took place. The workers earned varying salaries based on their positions, with monthly pay ranging from $7,000 to over $13,000. Some had up to 33 months remaining on their contracts when they were terminated. The court said there was no serious attempt to consult or reassign the workers, and it ruled the dismissals as harsh and oppressive in violation of good industrial relation practice. The union also argued that the termination were politically driven, pointed to Article 5 of the ILO Convention C158, which prohibits dismissal based on political opinion. The court also noted that this was a serious concern, especially since one of the terminated workers is the wife of THA Minority Leader Kelvin Morris. So you have it there. You can't just come in just so and dismiss people who are on contract because you feel they belong to this party, that party, or because of their race or sexual orientation or their color or creed. And yeah, that's not how it is done. You take your matter to the industrial court through a union, of course. I'm saying Michael Anisette, I'm confused. Because I heard there was a talk that he can't say he's the president and see him as the president. And it's a whole mess. Where is the registered trade union? I don't get it. Mr. Ronald Food, please. I don't get it. Didn't you have, I'm asking a question, sir. Did you not have some caretaker body take over the SWWTU for them to work out their business and this and that and that? And is it a part of it? And Michael Anisette is still the leader, the president of that union. I don't understand. I'm trying to get information on that, and that he should not be posturing himself as the president. I don't know. And I want to know that the same answer, the same Michael Anisette, who had to appear in America in some court for forcibly touching some woman intimate parts and this and that. I don't know if it's the same person. Anywho, so Michael Anisette, who postures as the president of SWWTU, he is saying that they wanted 12%. But that was agreed to. They wanted 12% because this government's negotiation not starting less than the starting point is 10%. So I can understand he talking about he wanted 12% because there was some type of situation that happened, but I understand it was not signed off properly. So now he's saying they wanted 12%. I will see how that goes. Because all of them were a part of the interests and a part of the interests of the UNC. They were talking about telling public officers why they should vote. Well, I know for PSA, I know for no other union, why they should vote UNC, that UNC, they will get salary negotiations starting at 10%. But I think public officers didn't hear negotiations started, and they just said 10%. Now we hear Kamala Persad saying the country max out. Oh, let me continue. So the Caribbean community hates why? Because we have no diplomacy. The UNC don't possess any diplomatic bone in their body. That is my opinion. They don't. Look at the mess Kamala Persad made with CARICOM when she was the Prime Minister. Remember the whole bacchanal with Jamaica? He's not an ATM machine. And Jamaicans are pulling all the goods off the shelf because we are they buy most of our local products. And when Dr. Ali came into office, he had to run across to Jamaica to smooth this thing over diplomatically. Well, what do they expect? And all they say, here what we did ask all. When I say all, I don't mean really only on the live. We wasn't asking all that who all want to answer the phone come April the 29th. We wasn't asking that. Do you want Kamala Persad or Stuart Young? Will we get in return that the code, yellow is the code, and when UNC wins, all of we wins? That one was the famous talk. Again, not my pizza talking to, I'm talking about the people out there. So now she's answering them. Well, she even answering it down the diplomatic center or even the Prime Minister's office. I think you'll have to get the number for the Philippines if they will give you. So, another diplomatic faux pas. Again, in my opinion, by the inexperienced and neophytes. So I see the Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister. Some lately happened, but I see he came out and said that, well, that's diplomacy, eh? He said that there's basically no bad blood and stuff. But let me tell you where this comes from. Again, if it's a foreign affairs minister, you must know your subject matter, Mr. Sobers. Before you make anything, have some people advise you. You can't just be talking out that time and thing. Was a stop with handshakes, and was committed because there wasn't handshakes, Oh, diplomacy is an art, So 18 hours ago, which is 18 on the Guardian, Antigua Prime Minister says he has no quarrel with TNT Foreign Affairs Minister. Antigua and Barbuda Prime Minister Gaston Brown says he has no issue with the new Minister of Foreign and Caribbean Affairs, Sean Sobers. However, he said he has an issue with what was said about his country during the ongoing search for missing TNT national Thomas Vasquez. Sobers also says everything is good between the two countries. Things got heated over the weekend after Brown took aim at Sobers on Facebook, believing it was he, Sobers, who said that dozens of tourists had disappeared in Antigua and Barbuda. You have no moral authority to condemn our beautiful country. Instead, you should focus on the exponential increase of crime in your home country, Brown wrote. Whereas we hope that the missing Trinidadian young man is safe, there is no evidence that he went missing in Antigua. According to reports, Velasquez, 21, has been working on a marijuana field in Antigua and Barbuda for the last 8 months. He returned home on April the 6th, left TNT on the 14th, and was last seen in Antigua on the 15th. Those previously seen with him have already been questioned as investigations continue. However, a newsday editorial on the issue claimed dozens of tourists had disappeared on the islands. The editorial mentioned that Sobers had instructed civil servants to seek vital updates from their counterparts in Antigua and Barbuda on the matter. When contacted by Guardian Media yesterday, Prime Minister Brown highlighted that the initial tiff may have occurred because mischief was being peddled by Antigua opposition. The way the minister Sobers was being featured not only by Newsday, but even by those who opposed us, there's one person who claims that they recruited him or they sought his intervention. So they pulled him into the political fray. He has since clarified it, and I have nothing further to say on the matter. But all I'm saying here is that, what they are saying about our country is grossly exaggerated. All countries have missing persons. I have an uncle, for example, who lived in the Virgin Islands. He's been missing now for several years, presumed dead, Brown said. The Prime Minister added that dragging his country with claims of several missing persons on the island was inaccurate. In response to the issue, Sobers also took to Facebook yesterday to say everything was going well between the two countries. I have not spoken to the Prime Minister, but I have a great conversation with Antigua Foreign Affairs Minister, and all is well between this country and Antigua and Barbuda, as has always been, and we continue to have strong bilateral ties, Sobers said. So very diplomatically, they would have eased up the tension, yeah? Because it is alleged that we Foreign Affairs Minister, Sean Sobers, it is alleged, say something about in Antigua Barbuda, real people have been missing and something. And it is alleged that the guy who missing, he does be coming in and out of Antigua, it is alleged. And in ganja field, ting, and drugs and ting. And that will the whole back around, surround, right? So I'm glad they clear it up, and let us hope Mr. Sobers, whoever run any page, that he does ban that page and make sure it's the government page, so it won't have that thing. Because if you're coming from Sean Sobers' page, people go believe it's Sean Sobers. But before you was minister, you must have had your Facebook page. So like you understand, as Foreign Affairs and CARICOM minister, you have to be very, very, very careful. Yeah? So, lesson to learn, I hope. Let me continue. So, I'm looking at something here, and I go on and I get this from, I went on Mako and Resource page, and I get some Lily here. Let me see what this is about. People, it's not graphic in the sense that you're seeing blood or anything like that. I'm happy you're not seeing the children faces, but it was an accident that happened this morning. Right? Look how the maxi end up. I understand the 25-seater with the school children, about 6 this morning, and we are around there, running the back of a garbage truck or something so. And the maxi veered off the road, go down in that thing and hit up into, it looked like a utility pole. Here the children, and they suffered some injuries. They had them lying. They took them on the maxi, they were lying on the grass, they were waiting for the ambulance and things to come, and the 2 drivers had minor injuries. And the reason why I showed it is because when Yuh was put it up, and she would have said, and we scrapping the demerit point system and keep bad driving. And we scrapping the demerit point system to keep bad driving in check. Why? I saw somebody put in a comment stating, where's the research and the correlation between the merit point and accidents and all that? So you know me, I went and looked up the thing, and this is what I get. It said yes, there's a correlation between the merit point systems and accidents. The merit point systems, which penalize drivers for traffic violations, are designed to reduce accidents by encouraging safer driving habits. Studies have shown that drivers have a history of traffic offense, that drivers with a history of traffic offenses, including those with demerit points, are more likely to be involved in severe road trauma. And they say here's a more detailed explanation. It said for the purpose of the merit point system, the main goal of these systems is to deter traffic violations and promote safer driving by assigning penalties for speeding, reckless driving, and other offenses. They said impact on road safety by discouraging risky driving behaviors. The merit point systems aim to reduce the number of severity of accidents, and studies and evidence that showed research has consistently demonstrated that drivers with a history of traffic offenses, including those accumulating demerit points, are at a high risk of being involved in accident. An example, a study in 2003 found a significant link between accidents and demerit points, supporting the notion that drivers under 25 have a higher risk of license suspension or cancellation. And then we have those systems in Canada, America, and all over the world. But in Trinidad and Tobago, they stopping it. And then somebody wants to know, is there a correlation? There is a correlation. Yeah? If you know you're going to face certain penalties for speeding on the road, not having your license, your car in a dilapidated state and all that, you will be more inclined to do the right thing. Now, if they take it away, it ain't no inclination for nothing. People just do what they want. So that was the link to demerit points, correlation to accidents. So yes, there is a correlation. So I'm seeing here that they want to make a bacchanal again with the SRC. And my thing about it is all of them take the money. All of them take the money. They ain't give it back. Opposition, government, everybody, they take the money. The opposition was the UNC at the time, and the government was the People's National Movement, and they took it. So some here the Lily also in the Guardian, 19 hours ago is more than 19 now. Robinson Rage's SRC report was taken to Parliament. Tracy Maloney MP Camille Robinson Rages has slammed what she says are misleading claims that the 120th report of the Salary Reviews Commission, SRC, was never brought before Parliament. She was responding to political analyst Dr. Indira Rampasad, who in a Guardian media report on Saturday claimed the issue of the hike in salaries for parliamentarians and other high-ranking officials was hard to overturn because the previous government did not take the matter to Parliament but handled it within the then cabinet. Rampasad was responding to questions on Prasad Bissasa's claim that she was told by lawyers she doesn't have the prerogative to revert to previous government salary structures and overturn the SRC increases. Robinson Rages yesterday sought to set the record straight. However, calling the accusation by Rampasad patently false and intellectually misleading. She said that the SRC report was laid in Parliament on November the 15th, 2024, and was available for examination and debate by the then opposition, United National Congress. She said Kamla Persad-Bissessa's party had an opportunity to lodge a motion of objection if they truly disagreed with the recommendations, but they opted not to take action. Instead, they launched public criticisms against the Prime Minister and the Cabinet while happily reaping the benefits of the report. Benefits they now pretend are beyond their control to reserve, Robinson Regis stated. Robinson Regis said that the current administration is attempting to play loose with the intelligence of the people of Trinidad and Tobago by feigning, meaning pretending that their hands are tied when they had every opportunity to act. Deliberately, they choose not to. She added that the claim that nothing could be done about the SRC recommendation is an attempt to mislead the public and avoid accountability. She accused Rampersad of misusing critical facts regarding the issue. It is therefore disingenuous for Dr. Rampersad to now pretend that the report was never presented to Parliament or that the opposition was powerless to respond. Her comments not only distort the truth, but also insult the intelligence of the population and tarnish the standards of academic objectivity that should be expected from a lecturer at the University of the West Indies, Robinson Regis said. The former Attorney General reminded the population that in 2009, Persad-Bissessa herself demanded that then Prime Minister Patrick Manning and his ministers cut their salaries by half, declaring that sacrifices should be made by government first. Today, as Prime Minister, she claims that she's unable to reserve or reverse the SRC increases, conveniently forgetting that former Prime Minister Patrick Manning had indeed cut his and his minister's salary after adjustments were made to the SRC report after implementation, she added. In November last year, the then government accepted the recommendations of the SRC, which paved the way for a pay increase for top politicians and state officials, including the Prime Minister, opposition leader, MPs, members of the judicial, the police commissioner, amongst others. The PM's salary increased from $59,000 to $87,000, from $59,680 to $89,847, which Kamla now enjoying it. While monthly salary of the opposition leader was increased from $29,590 to $47,500, which Penelope Beckers is going to be enjoying, right? Persad-Bissessa had then labeled it shameless and arrogant greed on behalf of the then PNM government. So, records are everything. And I also want to ask the Honorable Prime Minister, Kamla Persad-Bissessa, if in 2013 that the SRC came with their revised increases in salaries for opposition and her government at the time, and whether or not she refused it because she felt it wasn't enough. I just asked in a question. But when she accused Patrick Manning and his government, God rest his soul, that they should cut the salary because the SRC increased it, he did cut all of them salary. He get the SRC to review it and cut back everybody's salary. So the conversation, Kamla Persad-Bissessa saying she hands are tied and can't do nothing about the salary now, is not true. She could do it because Patrick Manning, the deceased, was Prime Minister. He did it when she complained about the increases. So let me continue. Hey, you think it easy? That money sweet them. Let me give up that. That money sweet them. Let me see this here. So criminologists are saying, let me see what they're saying here. Give me a minute, where the thing. So far everything is just for criminologists. UNC must give a reason, criminologists. Let me see. Let me take my time and go through this again. Right. Hi Shireen, hi Diamond, hi Laura, hi Valerie, hi Anne-Marie. Oh, they come out. Hey! Well, come out and see drama today, all you know. I drama myself. PM2A1, not none when it comes to drama, you know. So criminologists, this was in the Guardian 18 hours ago, it's not 18 hours again. UNC must give reason for firing of the SSA head. Well, that's an ex-bacchanal. They fired the man from the SSA. Criminologist Professor Ramesh Yusharan believes that the sacking of Arthur Barrington as leader of the Strategic Services Agency needs to be explained to the public by the United National Congress government. They will wait on that. Speaking with Guardian Media yesterday, Yusharan said the sudden removal may be political and like the firing of his predecessor, Major Roger Best, a reason should be given. At that level, if you have to move such a person, there should be explanations. I would think fairness should dominate such activities. Fairness includes due process, Yusharan said. So the public might want to ask, well, what makes Barrington unsuitable? Was it just a temporary appointment and for how long? And if there was no interruption in the appointment for some reason, well, we should hear the reason. He added, whether it's black and white or whatever, everybody is entitled to due process. So if there's a reason for removing Barrington after we have had Mr. Best, I think the public will be satisfied with some explanation and such matters as such levels. Also commenting on the termination was Martin George, attorney, who said the country's premier intelligence gathering agency has become like a political football. Sometimes there has been a type of political football which is blown up in the faces of some of the players. It's always been that kind of hot potato. Oh gosh, some kind of hot potato. You could have used something as that. So. But the reality is, there really ought to be some sort of major constitutional reform whereby, particularly in things like national security and the state apparatus under the something of the office of the Attorney General, there ought to be some generalized direction and planning, because what sometimes happens is elements of political spite and victimization. I really don't know. When did they put Rishmi at the head, a telephone operator? Somebody that forget to find out that how we know. The UNC does roll and do what they want to. All they feel the UNC had time with all who talk about code is yellow, and when UNC win, we wins and everybody wins. All I really feel is UNC had time with all. Ask another question, all I really feel so well. Let me continue. The next bacchanal is Madam Ula Christopher Winshie case. Madam Christopher Winshie case. Madam Christopher show up to work today, working with she lawyer, Miss Pamela Elba SC. Watch me now. I don't know if that's a wig or a weaver people, but she had different, it's a new, it take cool up, so it's a neck straight down. Watch me now, styles. And she walking. And she going back and she walk, look back, and I'll show you just now. Let me read the story. The thing hot, so I want to know. So Benjamin had to stop posturing. He's not the man they put. I just asking a question. And how long she going back for? A week, 2 weeks, a year? Look now. This place sweet. All I know she wants, she could sue the pants off her people's hold-ons. So I'm seeing here in Facebook, I comment to Tings just now, only wait. I comment to the energy sector, only wait. We in a mess. So ball in COP Ula Court. This was 18 hours ago, Guardian, 18 no more. Former police SC, POLSC, I can't remember what I mean. Police, all right. Former Police Service Commission member, warned of repercussion in collapse Commissioner Police case. I personally, when I tell you, go have real bacchanal in that. Former Police Commissioner or former Police Service Commission member Martin George says the handling of the investigation into suspended Commissioner of Police Ula Herwood Christopher may trigger a lawsuit. Speaking on Guardian Media yesterday on the heels of the announcement by the Director of Public Prosecution that Herwood Christopher had been cleared of wrongdoing in the matter, George said her attorneys may now have enough ammunition to mount a legal challenge. In a press release on Saturday, Director of Public Prosecution Roger Gasper cleared Yearwood Christopher, who was arrested in January, saying the evidence against her was not sufficient to successfully prosecute any matter involving the procurement of 2 sniper rifles for the Strategic Service Agency, the SSA. And now they fire the SSA. I never say there's no connection, people. All right. I was just reading something with SSA. So, commenting on the development yesterday, Joe said, the public humiliation and embarrassment which a person in the public eye suffers, listen, no amount of money can really compensate for that. I mean, for this to have been played out both nationally, regionally, internationally as it did, no one can imagine the extent of the embarrassment that she must have felt, and worse yet, for it to have been done by persons who were her juniors. He added, therefore, you have every bit of salt that I could rub in the wounds. I could feel that burning, which would have been added there. So therefore, I would imagine that herself and her attorneys will definitely be looking at her options in terms of some further legal action, because they would be arguing, and I would think that they would have some basis to do so. They would be arguing to say, well, look, hey, this is unjustified in the first place, and this is high-handed oppressive action by the agents of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service. George said from the onset he had urged that a thorough investigation be done so to ensure the evidence was there to justify arresting a police commissioner. So he warned them, I have been saying from the very get-go in this whole scenario, you have to ensure that you at least have the fundamentals of the evidence to justify your actions. Also commenting on the DPP decision was former Police Service Commission Chairman Ramesh Dusaran, who said the arrest without charge will now erode the confidence in the police service. No. This first question, or the first question that will arise, is that if the commissioner could be arrested, well, how further do we have to go, especially in matters related to guns and ammunition, so on. So yes, naturally some confidence will be lost. He added that the new government must address the eroding confidence in the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service and more state security and other state security agencies. Mr. Roger Alexander and the others, the Minister of Justice, the Minister of Legal Affairs, and all those institutions newly formed have to buck up very quickly and get moving in terms of building public confidence and making sure our police service and our national intelligence agencies are in the proper place to serve what they are required to do. Let me see how much longer, because I ain't this. Oh God. We ain't reading all that. I just read one more paragraph. Dusaran said that the Police Service Commission must also explain if the Commissioner of Police will be given an extension on her contract, which ends on May the 14th, a day before her 62nd birthday. He added that if an extension is not granted, an explanation must be given. George believes the suspension should be lifted immediately, and the Police Service Commission should also share with the public its findings from an independent investigation into the allegation misconduct of Yearwood Christopher. They do have the authority to discipline and exercise that supervisory control over the office of the commissioner and the deputy commissioners. However, I would be interested to see what they themselves have unearthed during this time, rather than them simply saying, well, they were waiting on a decision from the DPP. While, of course, that is a prolific decision and one that they must take into account, I don't think it obviates and relieves them of the need for them to have done their own due diligence in the matter. And once they have concluded that exercise and there appears to be no good reason to continue with the suspension, then of course they need to immediately do so. Okay, I ain't going back and forth with them. The thing is, she thing lifted. Let me show all this she walking in with she lawyer. Boy, people must be shame. I just say, people must be shames. Let me show all the back and the new.
Mom, anything you wish to say at this time? After? Sure.
She's just going to take her rightful position now.
Can we escort you and see you in your seat?
Papa did the short and handcuffs on back and so that opened door for she know the commissioner is back. Okay, I go leave that there, Papa. Like police business. So let me continue. So people never a dull day in Trinidad and Tobago with the UNC. It's too much. If you have had problems and all that, you need to zone out and go and watch TV. Because the UNC will have in some problems because every day, something. So look at this one. Only remember these divers who died. God rest their souls. And to the guy who survived, I hope he's getting whatever help he needs, and to the families who lost their loved ones. I don't know. But when the PNM government was saying that is not, a paraphrase, it's not simple just a lot of legalities and that. In first, let me go back. When the former government under Dr. Oli was saying, let's have some team to investigate this thing. You know, whoever investigating team, I think they felt that no, don't let the government do it because they might be biased, blah, blah, blah. They want a commissioner inquiry. The commissioner inquiry cost so much millions of dollars. So everything was on hold. And then coming out of that now, you had a report done that, again, I'm paraphrasing people, that says that Paria and LMCS, well, it's a OSHA issue because a health and safety issue. Paria had a lawyer, LMC had a lawyer, and everything went back and forth. LMC didn't have no insurance for the workers, and all kind of things, back and forth. And people find the government is heartless and this, whatever, right? But they had to tell them that it's challenging because legal thing, whatever. But then Prime Minister Siotio, when he was there, he said, listen, we tired here, we complaining and the thing, listen, we're not going to give you an extra shop, you know, $1 million. We're not standing no liability. But I said kind of like tide you over and only continue the court case with Paria and LMCS in court, continue that. The lawyer jump out and start to chain them up, in my opinion, and the people like they didn't go for the $1 million. Now, me, so I did going for $1 million, easy. I'm telling nobody. They could have vexed me after because Miss Mata's still in court. I would have got $1 million and try to pick up my pieces. Me, they're going to get my money easy. I wouldn't tell nobody. If I asked them, I said, oh, they're going to tell. They said, no, we're not going because the lawyer thing. And I said, okay. And behind their back, me, they go in and get me $1 million. So now, really, May the 9th, 2025, as soon as last story, T News, it says here, what do I have to pay? I have to play this thing? All right, let me play it.
Speaking at a post-cabinet media briefing, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar detailed the challenges involved in fulfilling the compensation promises made by the previous administration for the families of the divers involved in the Paria diving tragedy. Weeks before the April 28th general election, former Prime Minister and Energy Minister Stuart Young pledged an initial $1 million payment to the families of the deceased divers and the lone survivor, Christopher Boutram. But Mrs. Persad-Bissessar said the current administration is still pursuing it.
There may be an appearance of a conflict of interest, given that the lawyers involved for the divers, the one who's alive, and the survivor one, and then the others where the person was actually died. So with respect to the surviving diver, I know the former Minister, Prime Minister, Energy, Prime Minister Stuart Young promised us $1 million and so on. We are looking at it to see how best we can do it. But there's a bit of a complication which I'll need further advice from the lawyers for the state
She noted that the state must ensure that compensation is handled appropriately and fairly.
We may look at, for example, to solve that issue of the conflict interest and the 1 million now and 5 million later by having a kind of judicial settlement, having the parties come together before a court, a judicial officer, rather than the two lawyers sitting down and say, he says he wants 5 million and decides saying 1 million. We may have to look at a judicial settlement of those matters. But we will help those families as much as we can.
In February 2022, 5 men, Faisal Kurban, Kazim Ali Jr., Rishi Nagisa, Yusuf Henry, and the lone survivor Christopher Boudram were conducting an underwater maintenance exercise at Paria Fuel Trading Company when they were sucked into a pipeline. Sonolala, TTT News.
How all of a sudden it have legalities and if you pay the million and the thing whatever conflict of interest and who are fight. The people court case still going on. That ain't interfering with. This was an ex gratia to tie them until that had nothing to do with the case. That they have some cash to deal with issues whatever until whenever they win the matter. Could have been 20 years down the road, wherever it is. The day that the Prime Minister at the time, Stuart Young, Honorable Stuart Young, they say he making a commitment to pay the $1 million, the next day I was done by the office of the Prime Minister. I want the check. I didn't leave it until I got my $1 million check. In fact, I wanted to wire to my bank account. And I said, down there waiting. I'm waiting for the wire. Call the Treasury, do all they had to do. This is my bank account number. Yes, I'm not leaving until I get it today. And I did good. 2 weeks before the election, only get offered that and only go, only get chained up from, my opinion, from Prakash Ramadan. And on top of that, wasn't the LNCS owner, it was alleged and the wife was sitting front and center in front of one of the UNC meetings. So you could put 2 and 2 together and get 4, you might get 5 and 6 and all kind of thing, right? We have sense. So now they get nothing. They go and sit down and wait. Because you know why? Everybody up in the feelings, I want to play politics and what? All who win the politics and win the seat, and think they just get all the diverse family are talking to, they just come and drop any money for them, any groceries for them, anything for the children. Or they get $1 million, they could have helped all them. Or they refuse to go for it and take talk from lawyers. And now, a new government in the back, just like the 10% for public officers, a back now the country have money. Or just let all the emotional intelligence get away with all you. They could get 5 million after like the business. The point is, was an ex gratia payment, just one-off payment with no liability to the government. So nobody can bring up the government and say, well, they give them 1 million already. So if they was to get 5 million, we don't get them for no. That had nothing to do with nothing. Everything was separate. You could have taken it and still fight the case, but no. Me did running like hell from down south to come to get me money. But all who encourage them, I hope they help them now, because that case, that's a whole lily. So I'm seeing here, I want to talk on this a minute or two, but before that, let me just open this. Somebody sent something to me.
Well, boy, since all you're expressing you're interested in Buster Cummings now, here what to do. Investigate this one, because it's a low-hanging fruit. With Foster, you can't go wild it, that thing all over the place.
Okay. This is for next day. This is not for today. I really can't take Anna Roberts' face. Drunk, sober, and drunk, if he's strong, I don't know, it looks one way. And oh God, you can't take, let me tell you something. That face must just make people womb dry up. I can't deal with that right now. We go deal with that Wednesday, go spare something. So I see this here. Let me just go back which part I was. Oh gosh, I'll get through off my damn thing, you know. That face threw me off, boy. My belly cringe. So I'm seeing here, just now, I cringe. I feel my belly still hurting me. Boy. Whew, I get a belly pain there, yes. You understand? I want to right there with my money. Not this. What do you think is, boy? But then I don't know. That face give me a belly pain. CNC train. Give me a minute, only. What do you damn thing? What do you think? Give me a minute, only. Give me a minute. I have to scroll very slow. CNC tree, I know. CNC tree. Okay. I'm looking for an article here. Okay, great. So, there's an article in CNC3 News and it says, all of a sudden she knows that it have loopholes in PNM wicked, what they say. What? No, the code, well, yellow is the code. So, the opposition leader of the People's National Movement, in a Guardian article, 19 hours ago, it says, Beckers denies there's infighting in PNM. That's the headline, eh? Opposition leader Penelope Becker says there is no infighting in the People's National Movement, but has noted that existing conflicts stem from those who felt hurt that the party lost the recent general election. There's a reason I want to pause here and think, because I may not have gone to convent or bishops or St. Francois, but I did go to Woodbrook Secondary. I did English, and I was fortunate enough to do tertiary education where I had to do communication. English is a part of all that, so I have a kind of fair grasp of the English language. So me see this, and I make a post in a place where it have peoples who are in the PNMs. And I would have said, how could the opposition leader say there's no infighting in the PNM when we are seeing the general secretary of the PNM, Auditor? So I put, the opposition leader could have said so, just an opinion I given. You know, I go get the answer back, not from the opposition leader. People are not, I get some answer back. So I was like, I was referring really to the caption that there's no infighting in the PNM. And I was told that is a caption from the newspapers, you know, they just print the thing to make story. Okay, so that was reading again. Opposition leader Penelope Becker says there's no infighting in the People's National Movement. Who said it? Was the newspaper say it? Or the opposition leader? Okay, I rest my case. But noted that existing conflicts stem from those who felt hurt that the party lost the general election. Speaking to reporters after attending La Divina pastoral activities in Paria yesterday, Beckers addressed several issues, including the selection of senators and the future of the party. Responding to questions about possible internal party conflicts in the wake of election defeat, Becker said, I am not aware of any infighting. And there's some problems, whether it's PNM, UNC, PDP, I don't think of shit. Don't try to bullshit people. You can't be the opposition leader and saying that you're not aware of no infighting when the General Secretary of the People's National Movement all over Facebook saying all kind of thing, right? So to me, that sounds foolish. That's my opinion. And if it was in UNC, I'd be saying the same damn thing. If it was in PDP, PLP, PP, wherever they had, I'd be saying the same damn thing. So people's, all the PNM peoples don't take it personal and say talking PNM, but this is not PNM business. This is business out in the paper. So it can't be PNM business again. Right? Meaning bring it out. I'm not aware of any infighting. The truth is, we have lost. It is not the first time the party has lost the election. We understand that when we lose an election, there are going to be challenges. And of course, she's very correct. You know there will be concerns. You may have a bit of conflict as well, but we always being a resilient party. That is correct. Last week, a group called itself Changemakers called on the General Secretary Foster Cummings to follow the other executive members who resigned in the wake of the election defeat. In response, however, Cummings claimed he disagreed with the election campaign strategy and was not kept in the loop, saying he felt sidelined during key discussions. Cummings noted that he is willing to work with the party to address its shortcomings, but believes internal issues must be handled with transparency and respect. Then she now say that she's not aware of any internal fighting. Here the General Secretary is saying that he's willing to work with the party to address its shortcomings and believe internal issues, what are the issues, must be handled with transparency and respect. Addressing this, like I said, there's been a lot of interviews, there's a lot of comments. Some people are clearly not happy that we have lost, and people are pushing the blame onto almost anybody that they think would have been responsible for that. She said her work to rebuild the party had already started. When you lose, people point fingers, that's expected. She's correct. But the importance is my responsibility as the leader of the opposition is to ensure that we have a team, we do our analysis or post-mortem in terms of why we have lost, and use data and feedback from various party groups from all the constituencies or constituents to influence your way forward, she said. She said she's also taken her responsibility as opposition leader seriously. I have a great deal of responsibility. I have a commitment to the party and the recognition that when we lose an election, you are going to have unhappy people. She said, members of the party felt that we have lost our way in terms of dealing with the ground, dealing with the members of the party, and dealing with the country. So my responsibility is to assist where it is concerned. Most important thing to do is your homework, do your postmortem, read the constituencies, and have a strategy to move forward and to be ready to get back into government. Asked about calls for racial equality in the Senate and concerns that there were no Indo-Trinidadian MPs in the upper house, Becker said, the truth is we had 41 persons that offered themselves. That 41 persons was a reflection of race, religion, class, anything you can think about. She's correct. As I decided who I will pick, I will take all that. I will take all what I think my party and my country wants me to consider to make sure that balance exists. She added, I'm going to be there not for obstruction, but for collaboration and to ensure that as I make my decision and consultation, I do it in the best interest of Trinidad and Tobago. I just have an opinion on something, right? Why use the word obstruction? I don't get it. The opposition party is there to keep the government in check. Unfortunately, the last opposition, which is now the UNC, who is now in government, were objecting to everything that makes sense. The PNM cannot, or the opposition leader, the PNM cannot posture that you're not going to speak out on issues because you don't want to obstruct. If it is thing that is important to the interests of the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, then you ought to speak out. It don't matter if it's whole day you have to speak about it or it's every day, whatever. The case is that is what it is about. So I would hate to think that the position of the opposition leader of the PNM is that I ain't talking about all them things and then little thing, I go wait till I'm in parliament. And I hope that is not it. But then again, who is me? Me is just an ordinary person. So I also want to ask, and again, it's in the newspapers. It's not me put it there. So this is not PNM business I come out and talk because I'm not inside the belly. I know PNM to know nothing. I read on what I see here. So the General Secretary, who is Mr. Foster Cummings, who was the Minister of Youth Development and National Services. The ministry has gone back to sports and youth affairs, and the person who won the Auditor seat, I understand it used to be his campaign manager, something Watts. He won the Auditor seat. So There's some group, name change makers, they are calling on the General Secretary to resign. So I just want to ask the peoples of the PNN, because people would like to know, it's not only business people want to know, but just question somebody. I want to ask the General Secretary or those who are in the know-how. Because we know from hearing what they're saying that there is to be a internal election. I know legally I think it's supposed to be 2026. So that is the position of political leader, general secretary, chairman, and something, right? However, I don't think it is written in stone. It's circumstances, whatever. So I just want to ask those who have the know-how and understand, because we don't be interested in UNC internal election, we just yap about it, and all who are internal election and who didn't have and should have and all that. I want to ask something. Who is the custodian of the membership list? And I think that membership list is all who is a part of the party, who paying the dues and finance. Because when it comes to voting, those things are important. I want to know who is the custodian of the membership list. And I'm asking, is it the General Secretary? Because if it is the General Secretary is Foster Cummins. And Foster Cummins is not a member of Parliament. Foster Cummins lost his seat. I'm just asking. I want to ask again, where is the election supervisory members? Where do they come from? Is it in the sitting executive, or is it the sitting executive, which will be the chairman, the deputy political leader, the general secretary, that whole team? Is they the ones who choose the persons for that supervisory election supervisory committee? I think it is asking again, where or who picks the members, or where does the members of this election supervisory come from? Where they come from? Who chooses them? Is it the sitting executive? And when they choose them, if it's them, is it then brought to the General Council just to be ratified? Does the General Council have any say in that? Asking again. Asking. If those things are true, then what if the General Secretary choose people who he or she is familiar with, who would accede to whatever requests or whatever? I just asking. And it's put on that committee asking. Because if that happened, then that is a conflict of interest. Me asking. I'm also asking, in the context of all that, doesn't the present executive feel any compulsion that all of them should resign in order to have an appearance of a free and fair internal election? I'm just asking. I'm a union person, So I talking from that where we just have election and talk and things. So they don't get all up in their pen and bunches and go and say, me say and me then say whatever. Asking question again. And if it was closing the fridge door and it didn't hear, because I'm seeing some group asking for the General Secretary to resign. I know the chairman, who was my member of Parliament, Stuart John, he has resigned. Dr. Rowley resigned as a political leader, and he would have rescinded the appointment of the deputy political leader, I think, and some next one. So that is Nine Gaspy and I think Mr. Ranson. So when I hear the call for the General Secretary to resign, this question I ask, when I ask these questions, depending on the answer, I think is a logical call. So I'm asking again, who is the custodian of the membership list? Where's the membership list? Because if we're going to call internal elections, I would think that a general council would call to get the membership list so that people could have it to purview it, to look at, to see people on it really is members, if they pay the dues, it's financial members, whether or not they should be off the list, we could expel, or if it is people who would have died, and that's what you do. Because and that is a general secretary job, to bring all those type of information within the general council, because that's how it happens with PSA elections. And then I'm asking, there's an election supervisory committee, I guess it is. With the PSA, we have an election committee. And I'm asking, where does those members come from? Who choose them? Who choose these persons for the election supervisory committee? And when they don't choose, is it that the general council just rubber stamp it? Does the general council and anybody have any input in it? Asking a question. So, and again, I'm saying, with the two things I asked, if it is the general secretary who is the custodian of the membership list, and if it's the general secretary who is a part of the choosing the people for the election supervisory committee, well then, will it be so far stretched in imagination that the general secretary, whoever they are, could get their own peoples to be a part of the election supervisory committee? I'm asking. So will that not be a clear conflict of interest? And then you take it to general council to be ratified? Me asking questions, you know? And I'm also asking, based on all that I asked, instead of having all these questions floating around there, wouldn't it have been the most ethical thing that the whole executive resign? So as to give the assurance and perception that the elections, when called internal elections, will be free and fair. Because I think if an internal election is called under these circumstances, there may be legal challenges to it. So if we want to start to rebuild, as a conversation going around, rebuild the People's National Movement, because I am quite certain in when the PNM was beaten to the 3-3, it used to have all this kankata. But we didn't have social media. So nobody didn't know the bacchanal used to get on and who cost who and who will fight. You wouldn't have known that. So now people looking at it as if it's something new. And oh my God, it's nothing new. When the PNM was formed, I sure Dr. Eric Williams had bacchanal control and confusion the same way. You remember his speech in Woodford Square? You remember the bacchanal that caused the recalcitrant minority that today, some of Indian descent, making you feel that he says something that was racist towards him, and recalcitrant just simply mean obstinate. Anybody who hadn't want to listen, whether they could be recalcitrant. So I'm saying, and when we lost 29, I think 12, we get a small maxi. I am sure it had control and confusion and bacchanal. But again, social media wasn't so prevalent, so we may not have heard it. Now it just unfortunately or fortunately, people just decide everything went on social media. So look like, oh my God, the PNM, and having, it's only how much, 2 weeks now, it's not a year now, 2 weeks now, people are still smarting from it. It's 13 seats they end up with. Foster Cummins lost his seat. Anybody would have ever imagined that? Faris Awari lost his seat. You would have ever imagined that? No, with Mr. Terence Yalsing, there was always a thing because that was a seat highly contested and very, but some other seats. So, would it not be better in those circumstances? Because people are asking all kind of questions. That based on what I just asked there, it wouldn't be the most ethical thing for these people to resign from those positions and let me really start. Not let us say winner. Let them really start, because I don't know when the we come in it. Because as I say, all who call them are we, like these little piggies. When it was them, and think that nice, they didn't study in we, some of them. But when thing bad now is we, they want to spread the responsibility all over. But when it's time to enjoy, some of them is them. So the point I'm making is this. Would it not be in the best interest that they want to build back the People's National Movement? And not build back in the sense that the structure broken, but as I said before, as an analogy, you have a house with a strong foundation. The house has been there for years. The foundation is solid as a rock, but you might find the windows need to change and modernize. You might find the doors. You might find the toilets have to come out and put in new ones. And you might find the roof might have a little thing to fix on with and a little paint job and all that. So it's normal to me that you will want to do these little. Is it not better to start on a foot, on a real foot, where you're really showing the membership that, hey, we're serious about addressing issues? And again, I heard Mr. Brian Manning speak about going back to the delegate system because the one man, one vote machine of the party. And I'm trying to understand. You really think it is better that just a few people have the voice to talk for everybody and thousands of people paying the dues in PNM and them can't vote? So, all in all democracy? But I haven't heard Ms. Baptiste Primer say anything because she would have championed, she had told us several times, she would have championed the cause with Dr. Rowley because he's the one, she said, hope I ain't wrong, he wanted to institute that into the People's National Movement instead of the delegate system, because the one man vote, if so you call it, gives everybody opportunity. So you don't have to be in a party group, you don't have to be in no constituency, nothing. Woman, you have to be nothing. You just have to be a financial member of the People's National Movement and you can vote. I think that is the greatest and biggest democracy ever. So again, I'm saying, if all is serious, all the hierarchies and all of them, don't study my mispronunciation and my spelling a word. I'm not going up for dictation, nor am I going up for no competition, nor is it an exam. This is where we talk, the thing, T-I-N-G thing. So, I think this is my opinion, an ordinary person, and it have plenty ordinary persons think like me. I think the executive of the PNM should resign. I think that the General Council, wherever body, should be able to go over the membership list and all that before they even start to call internal election. Not to do so could create some issues where people feel things are compromised. Those are facts because we see it in the PSA. So I'm talking from that perspective. You know, I talk about PNM thing because you know always touchy and softy, as always say something and want to tell people about maturity. And somebody who talking maturity is the most childish it have. So, as I was saying, enough of that. There's work for PNM people who love the party and know that the PNM is the best option for this country, work to do. You win some, you lose some, but you get up, you dust your pants, and you start again. So it's nothing new for the PNM. Yeah? It's not impossible. You just have to do the work. And I see this conversation about everything, the ground and the ground thing. The ground watcher summer earlier and saying summer is the glass problem. But let us want to take that into consideration. Sometimes the problem the ground having is because of earlier. Because of some of their attitude. I say that again. Sometimes the issue the ground have is not so much with the party itself as a structure, but some earlier who in leadership, who in the street with the people on the ground. How much time will they go to the ground to find out where the ground, or they don't know what the ground's saying already, or they need to be more accessible. You don't have to hug up and kiss and smile and all them things. Some people just genuinely just be like that. It has some of you are not like that, but you will have to find some way to connect. It's all who does make the disconnect, not the ground. The ground know what they want and they very well know what they want. But some of you all are not accessible, only accessible to the ground because things are nice, all they want to know. When things nice, all they just want to know, let me be real, because if it was UNC again, I'm going to be talking the same talk because this is let me talk the thing. And this is to strengthen, not to weaken. But if you're immature and you're total feelings, You go about, this is a mash up people. I hear some people saying, I want to know what choppiness them talking. People talking their mind after defeat like that, you go mash up party. That go mash up party. You go mash up party if you have ill will. And if you're talking out against things because you're hurting because you ain't get. But if you're generally speaking about the issues that are affecting, how that go mash up? That is to build and strengthen. But a lot of them, or some of them, they're talking because of what they can't get. Again. Or they want to talk because they're afraid to get. I just asked a question because I know that situation like what happened in the PNL. People will talk. People will say it wasn't for you, and it was for you, and you. But look at what you didn't do. Start from there first, and then have conciliation. Let people sit and talk, and let people talk freely and frankly once they're not disrespectful. Let people talk and say what it is. Don't get no horrors. But you will get horrors if you know you contributed. Because some of the negative vibes, and this is the last thing I say, so on this topic, is some of them with all the negative vibes. The ground pick up the negative vibes. And you know what the ground say? You see, me ain't get myself in that. I go sit this one out. Some of them with all the negative vibes. Smiling and grinning so, but when all on the ground, all of and had the ground confused. And the ground say, you see me wants no part in that trippiness. What part are they playing it? All who talk about they're going to meet with ground and what the ground saying, like, what part are they play in what happened with the People's National Movement April the 20th? I'll go on with that one. Let me continue. So, and for all who want to go back and say, I still matter on something again, I don't talk with water in my mouth. And anything I talk here, I could say it over and over and over again because I believe what I'm saying. I'm convicted in my saying. I have conviction. I'm here lying on nobody. So don't let them tell you. Let me tell you. And if they call me to tell me, they tell you, I go say, yes, I say so, I didn't say so. Me ain't one of them. Me have nothing to hide. I don't tell people my business. Out in the street is stink and dirty. So me I don't cook out. If rain could fall and wet it, dry it, wet it back again, it don't bother me. Because me never do nothing me shame of. John Baptiste Primus need to go home. And that's what I say. I love Miss Baptiste Primus union. You can't come and tell me nothing bad about she basically the politics. Me don't like it. And the next thing to Lee Hunt. Lee Hunt, you're all over yap. You came back from a distinguished career in Ghana. I think you was working okay, whatever you come here. And you was made public utilities minister. And you wanted, I think, to introduce the meter in people's yard to get it. And because there's a disagreement, you walk away from the work. So what loyalty and what you want to be getting on it? If as you get vexed because somebody says something, ask that, you just walk away. You is anybody to want to tell anybody anything? You see all the wicked with all yourself, boy? Once you have a different opinion, you go just walk away, mash up everything, asking a question. So you're out there talking the loudest. Who business whether you support the opposition leader, Ms. Penelope Beckles or not, what? And so what? Like it has some, of course, that people support you. You telling people that will do what? Change your opinion? You was there. You walk away from there. Now you want to be back here to talk, like, and if you want help and all that. I said that was the last time I was saying this. I want to ask someone to take in all this. Is it only like Mrs. Penelope Beckers because the fact that only feel it's easy to walk over she and everybody could pull she strings and get she to dance to whatever song? Asking a question. Me go on, my thing. So all yeah, really express. So okay, mama, don't watch for the thing. It's so far. Oi. Right. Listen to Kamala Pastor Bissassa here. So Kamala Pastor Bissassa, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. This was 13 hours ago in the Express. Well, it's 13 as I was always delayed. I want to listen. I just read that part. I ain't feeling no 4 minutes to listen nothing. Expect some serious revelation out of the 2024 Auditor General's report, which must be laid in Parliament before going public, Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar said. The Prime Minister dropped the hint as she fielded questions following Thursday's post-cabinet news conference, but declined to speak further on this report, stressing that the document must first be laid in Parliament. Persad-Bissessar said the Auditor General's report for the last fiscal year has been forwarded to the Parliament and the Minister of Finance. However, she added, we do not speak to it until it is laid in Parliament. The practice and the protocol, and maybe even the law, is that we do not speak until it was laid in Parliament, Persad-Bissessar said, following the first cabinet meeting. She said the report will be laid in the first sitting of the next Parliament, and we will get some serious revelation contained within that, as was contained in the last one. Right? So, like she alluded to the fact, it had marked the bus in the Auditor General report. We're going to read. I want to read this for all you. This was in the Daily Express, the 30th of May, 2014. Billions spent without documentation. Who was in office 2014? Kamala Persad-Bissessar and the UNC. This was an auditor report. The auditor was Sharon Otley. Several government ministries, including the Ministry of Finance, lack documentation to justify multi-million-dollar expenses. The Auditor General report on Trinidad and Tobago, Public Account for Government Financial Year 2013, October the 1st, 2012 to September the 30th, 2013 has shown. The worst offenders were the Ministry of Environmental and Water Resources, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Not only did the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources fail to provide documents to support 3 payments totaling $2,600,569 and no cents. It was not transparent with documents or answers to questions asked by the Auditor General. The Ministry of Science and Technology failed to provide documents to the Auditor General for $19.3 million. In contravention of the Auditor General's right to access to documents on demand, critical records documents such as projects file, contracts, bills, quotation, completion certificates, progress report, or status reports were not produced for audit. As a result, the validity of payments made totaling $19,300,000 on 9 projects, the status of completion of each, and adherence to relevant terms and conditions could not be ascertained, the report noted. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs failed to provide documents for 40 vouchers for contract employees valued at $6.1 million. The report dated April 29, 2014 and signed by Auditor General Sharon Otley also raised questions about overpayments by ministries, lack of documentation to support contracted workers by the state, and lack of proper accounting management by officers in charge of protecting the public purse. There was also failure in many instances to respond to requests for more expenditure information, the Auditor General report stated. The state of internal audit functions in the ministries and departments remains a matter of grave concern, as in prior years, noted Otley in her annual report. She noted that the examination of the records and documents showed that in many instances there was not compliance with financial instructions, financial regulations, and other financial directives, while reports on appropriation accounts did not match what was produced for examination during the audit. The audit revealed numerous instances at various ministries and departments where financial regulation and instructions, as discussed at paragraph 16. Let me fix my glasses. I had to get a new glasses, don't worry. At paragraph 1.6 continues to be disregarded. A pervasive need was identified for training of staff of ministries and departments in accounting regulation and procedures with a view of enhancing accountability and good governance, she said, by the Auditor General of 2013-14. She noted that there are examples of weakness in the systems of internal control, as well as non-compliance with legislative requirements and or financial directives, and a general lack of proper maintenance of the relevant subsidiary books and records. There were numerous instances where documents were requested for audit purposes were not produced. This represents a serious breach of both the Auditor General's constitutional and legal right to access to all documents relating to the public account and of financial and accountability requirements, she noted. Recurring offenses, contract employees. Payments to contract employees from information received from 28 permanent secretaries total $415,836,835.32. The amount was paid to 3,450 persons employed in contract position during the financial year ending the 30th of September 2013. The audit highlighted that duly executed contracts were not produced for several of those officers, and as such, the various terms of engagement could not be verified, it said. The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service had the most contracted workers with 546, the Ministry of National Security with 423, the Ministry of Health with 391, and the Ministry of Finance and Economy with 321. As the prior year's examination of contract employment revealed that in many instances, terms and conditions approved by the Chief Personnel Officer and or signed contracts were not seen. In response to the observation raised, accounting officers have indicated that matters are with the Personnel Department for action, the report said. Inventory control. Well, I'm reading this whole thing, you know. But there's a reason why I read parts. I'm going to read this next little part and I'm done. During the period 2009 to 13, government spent $2.2 billion in inventory, but there were also cases of theft and losses reported. For the financial year 2013, there were 42 cases of theft and loss of state property totaling $3,100,408.10. There were 23 cases under $5,000 for a total value of $38,180,049. And 19 cases in excess of $5,000 totaling $2,63,227.61. The Ministry of Education has 16 cases under ITFINET, or the inventory and all kind of thing. 5,000 totaling, $27,275, and 9 cases totaling $74,790.85. The Ministry of Food Production had 4 cases of theft totaling $126,785.85. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. So Kamala Prasad Bisesa coming to talk like if they're going to drop the Prime Minister, Kamala Prasad Bisesa, to drop some kind of talk with the UEFA. All I remind she for me now that Sandra Otley said under her tenure, billions of dollars was spent without documentation, and the Auditor General could not get no documentation as the person was legally bounded to based on the Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago, and it had thief in the ministry, contracts with no records, all kind of thing happened and no records of payments and how it was done, but money was paid. So I leave that there. Oh, they think it easy, but all the people jump out. You know, it's the code, and when UNC win, everybody wins. Let me continue. So people, Just listen to Barajak. Remember, coming up as she's Senate Minister of Energy. He going to Grenada and he going to Guyana. The thing like that. Let me play what we seen in Barajak DOC about them and the gas. That's all. That's all. Okay.
Most recent, the new Prime Minister said that they'll have to explore that. In previous,
the answer is no.
Okay, no problem.
The answer is no.
In recent years, when the prospect of having
Let's start over this thing because I want to let it hear it proper.
on a potential collaboration with gas, because he made some comments recently, and then the new Prime Minister said that they'll have to explore that. In previous,
the answer is no.
Okay, no problem.
The answer is no.
In recent years, when the prospect of having such a collaboration with Trinidad came up, the government has kind of shrugged that off. So what changed recently that caused you to say, okay, let's start looking into a potential collaboration? And on that, we saw...
Who said that? Who said that?
Said what? No, I'm saying...
What changed?
Yeah, what changed? Because over the years, you have not necessarily been so welcoming of having a potential deal with Trinidad.
No, but we have not commented on the PM's comment. She said...
Your comment. She said, after you said that you'll explore potentially collaborating with
Trinidad. And this was before the elections. I said that before the elections in Trinidad and Tobago, I said, and I want to repeat what I said, that right now, from the gas to energy project, there's no gas to supply to anyone. We need all of the gas there for power generation and the fertilizer plant. That there is a project that we have not approved as yet that is being explored between Fulcrum, Exxon, and the government of Guyana to develop the gas reserves. That they're exploring several options as to what to do with this gas. One, it's to do LNG and export LNG. Two could be to bring the gas on shore for generation of power to sell to Brazil, power, that's the sale of power. Three, to bring the gas onshore for industrialization in Guyana, or a combination of all three, if there is adequate gas. I said, if Trinidad and Tobago is interested, then the tripartite arrangement, Exxon, Fulcrum, and the government of Guyana would have to examine whether taking the gas to Trinidad and Tobago outweighs those other options in terms of financial feasibility. That's the position we took before the election. That's the position we have now. There is no other position on the table. So there is no gas today to supply to anyone. It is the development of that project. Now, assuming Trinidad and Tobago wants to be part of those discussions to see, then they can, I guess we can have them as part of the discussion, but we want the most feasible and the most lucrative to Guyana outcome from the use of our gas. For Guyana, we want them, and if it is, as I said before, if taking it to Trinidad offers that outcome, then that's fine. But we're going to have private investors, so they'd have to make that decision too. It's a private investors. So we said that before the elections. I guess the new government wants to be told the same thing. So we will meet with them, but that is our position as of today. There is no gas to supply tomorrow. We have to develop a project. to do that. And that's what, there's no approval for such a project as yet.
And on that,
in a nutshell, me no gas person and energy person in a nutshell. What I gather that Barajagdio is saying is not like in the Dragon gas where you take the pipe where you done build and hook it to the area there and the gas start to run through because I ready gas to monetize. You take that situation. You see what gas them have is for them use, not for nobody else. They had it this and they had it this, whatever. But there is a project that is going to look to be developed with Exxon and whoever. And when I say project, you have to put money in that, seismic research thing you have to do. And it's not that you just go and you take a hose or take a pipe and plug it to the hole and gas come out. No, it has work to be done, groundwork to be done first before you could even think it reaching and monetizing. So that ain't gonna take tomorrow, next day, that will take, they say, to seismic thing under like 2 years and the finances and this about 2 years. And then after that, it might take the next 6 years to come to fruition to monetize. So what are you saying, why you think that if Trinidad want to get in on that, well, they could come to the table and sit down and see how best that could the word is negotiation, negotiations. But the direct gas for now, they said them you have no gas to give now, all them want all the gas. So you see when come up as I say them a position of cussing Maduro, cussing this, cussing that, whatever. The Dragon gas and the one way manatee and something way close to the water and all them kind of. Anything to get you out to pass them. Only to hear there was something nutmeg field, whatever. Some Russians were there, the company trying to drill and whatever. But what they find, it is not enough that is sustainable to be monetized to do nothing. Them left and gone. So basically, all they know the thing does go. Stay with me, all they know it does go. They can't take talk, Once I start to talk the truth, it does go. But I know I'm faithful will stay with me. So as I was saying, they said they're running up to Grenada with a nutmeg field. Only to be told it in gas, And if you have to monetize, if you have to start to dig again and drill again, whatever, you have to get investors like millions and millions of dollars. Then you have to do this research, that research, set up this, set up that, set up this, When you finish, you have to now start to look where you think it is. And them things could take 6 years after the 2 years. So you're looking at 10 years down the road and all that. Whereas Dragon Field had the gas there because the 10, 15 years passed already. All them research, do seismic, it's just to put the pipe that was building down in Tufco, wherever down in Labre, connect all them things to wherever and pump straight. But the cost Maduro did this. Now they're running Guyana. Guyana say, we don't have Guyana gas right now. What we have is projects to be developed, but we have to talk about that, you know. But even if we talk about it and we get on it, there ain't no gas right now. We need gas right now. We need some things right now. And I'm asking again, I wish them all the best, because what they say, when UNC wins, we wins. So if the new Minister of Energy could go and negotiate, that is for thing in the future. Maybe if he could negotiate with Barrett and them to get what they have now, to get a little bit from it, me don't know. I don't know. Dr. Rura Muna to be no negotiator in nothing. But again, strange things has happened and could happen and will happen, whatever. Once it's in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago, I say, hooray, hooray, because when UNC wins, they say we win that, and the code as well. Okay. So, let me just think this here quick. Right done. I have no long thing again. People ain't interested in no long thing and long talk. Only get all the long talks that have. And people decide to stay in homes. People decide they in business. Because the sense of voting. Now it have ECC teachers and them. They want to know if the contract will be renewed. It has some students from some next place again. They want to know if the program will be still there. And when we tell young people go out and vote, here's some of them. What are you voting for? Voting don't help me. That ain't gonna help me. That don't do with me. Well, okay. All of them want to take part, so wherever it is. So again, I'm going to end just now. And I'm just saying, again, we had an opportunity to make sure a government that could manage the economy remain in office, especially in these turbulent times, and managing this economy, the way how geopolitics is. I know, and all you know, that crew for the UNC there, we're not trying to be mean and nothing, but we know they're not ready. They're not, all they know that, you know, but all they vex with, all they say, all they vex with PNM, like if all they do PNM, something, is the people who does vote for PNM, all they do, because them ministers and them, whether the laws is, you know, or not, they must work in, you know, those professionals before they come into politics, you know, them go just go back in the business, they this, they that, and they living nice, you know. All they really do them nothing, you know, unless they was caught up with blue lights and whatever. But all they do them nothing, you know. All they do, my member of Parliament, Stuart Arion, SC nothing, you know. Because he can get work anywhere in the world, you know. All they do, Dr. Rowley, nothing. All they see out somewhere with the wife in Ireland or somewhere taking pictures, whatever. Is the ordinary people on the ground like myself and others, all they do, and all the children, career, future in a upsea. All them who are the children abroad and had to send money for them to study and was dependent on government scholarship and all that, is all you know in this UNC who today they say this, tomorrow they say that, and so they're going topsy-turvy. So who want to do something? And all who listen me ain't going and vote. I'm not going and vote. I like who they put there. And how really could just choose somebody just so. And whatever. Democracy, but you know, when all they did voting, it is alleged with the opposition leader, all they ain't call all 13 people, all wasn't thinking about democracy then, just 6. And the Mrs. Becker's 7, and the vote. Well, they didn't call the rest about democracy. Well, nobody want democracy then. Now where there's supposed to be an internal election, where people should do the honorable thing, so as not to taint the process or the appearance of tainting the process, produce the membership list and all that. Or they studying democracy again. Me just talk one side of my mouth. In fact, not in one side, in the middle of my mouth. Me don't talk so and talk so. I talk straight. I don't go all over the place. So I'm just going to play this for you all, and I hope that Dr. Rudal Munilal, he has that type of skill. Let me see what this are here. As this gentleman that I'm going to play. So let me just read this. So this is something, before I play, this is something, I saw there's a guy called P.S. Robinson. I don't know who really is, but sometimes I read his posts and they're very interesting. So I see him write something, a sobering reality check on the gas promise. When Prime Minister Kamala Persad took office, she announced plans to pursue gas deals with Guyana, Grenada, and Suriname to revive the Pointe-à-Pitre refinery. It was a bold pitch, one that got folks hopeful about a quick energy boost. But the reality hit in hard. Guyana Vice President Dr. Bara Jagdeo just shut down the idea, saying flat out that their gas is tied up in their own energy and fertilizer projects with no surplus to share right now. Talks were left open, but only as a distant possibility. Their natural resources minister made it plain. Guyana's priority is its own refinery, not Trinidad and Tobago. The idea of relying on Guyana's gas was never grounded in reality. Grenada has already deep in a controversial 1.8 billion energy deal with Nigerian and Russian firm signed in October 2024, covering offshore blocks that don't include Trinidad and Tobago. While TNT's Iron Grenada and Nutmeg field development, it could take 10 to 15 years, and Grenada's current partners aren't leaving room for us. Suriname, we signed an MOU in 2023 for energy cooperation, but there's no concrete deal for gas supply. Talks are ongoing, but nothing close to finalized, and their focus is on their own oil and gas boom. Trinidad and Tobago continues to push hard, which is commendable, but the reality is these countries have their own plans and priorities. The promises were well-meaning, but they lean on hope more than hard commitment. Fixing our energy sector is going to take gritty work, slow diplomacy, and a reality-based game plan. I wish Kamala luck, but she has got a tough road ahead, and I would like to see her succeed for all of our benefit. And that's what it's about. At the end of the day, we want to see them succeed, but it ain't looking. I want to ask the UNC. All they ain't find the EBC's PNM no more. All they ain't find Narcissus scope. She's not some PNM relative and all no more. The EBC got all they ain't talking about international observers and nothing again. Everything got because they win. All they had the loudest to talk and all they're not confident because this happened so and this so and they making conference so and they're going in EBC and saying they ain't confident in it because some special elector, this thing didn't see and said, now that they win, they have nothing to say. You see how they just put all in a TV? When election, they have no faith in EBC. The EBC's PNM. You know when they win, they don't hear nothing again, all of a sudden the EBC fear. But some of us say chain up with that talk when they come to start to talk. How come they're not complaining about the EBC no more? The EBC fear now. So as I was saying, people, I hope that Dr. Rudal Munilal has the know-how, the skill, and the ability, like this gentleman is describing, my member of parliament. This is deceased Franklin Khan. Playing it follow before I go.
And I want to share one further point here with the nation. When the Prime Minister met with the leaders of the energy sector, it was decided to establish what we call an empowered negotiating team of technocrats and led by two ministers. Myself, as Minister of Energy, and the Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, the Honorable Stuart Young. And today, I want this nation to know that we owe a debt of gratitude to the Honorable Stuart Young for his contribution in this whole exercise. He has been very, very instrumental in these negotiations. Because as a litigation lawyer, he knew what to say, what not to say. I was there at his side. I've been expert in the field of energy, but he was the expert negotiator. And both of us worked diligently together as a team to deliver these results for Trinidad and Tobago. That gentleman is young, he is bright, he is productive, he's an extremely hard worker.
I hope that we could talk about Dr. Munila also, because I don't know his specialties in negotiating and energy. Me know him, no litigator and thing. I mean, I don't know. But if he wins, the Trinidad and Tobago will win. So we will wait to see. So let me see what we hear. So Sadie, Laurel, Helen, Joel, Finbar, Camille, Diane, Ernie, Andrew, Kim, Glennis, Rosemary, Merlin, Valeris, Harris, Debs, Baker, Lucy, Rudolph, Shireen, Crystal, Charles, Ruthven, Nestra, Dandy, Diamond, Trini, Jewels, Girl, Kathleen, Sadie, Anne-Marie, Caprice, Papa Hughes, Margaret, Phyllis, Hollister, Jonathan, Wendy, Wells, Melanie C., Rosalind, North Norgis, Kurt, Brian, Maria, Anne-Marie, Glennis, LaSalle. LaSalle? I wonder if that is LaSalle. Anyway, hi LaSalle, I think it's something, but yeah, you know. Kenneth, Pascal, Joanne, Judy, Balti, who I thought was a woman, he said, hey, I'm a man, eh? Lorna would take a man, Angela, Brenda, Sharon, Sandra, Julia, Fraser, then that is a short, that nickname or something. I've never seen no first name spelled so F-R. But it is what it is. Arlene, Margaret, Cheryl, Alison, Donna, Barry, Joan, Joan, Delano, Joycelyn, Colin, Hadara, Marie, Derek, Carolyn, Judy, Charles from Pune, my whole family, Leon, Sheila, Emmeline, Kevin, Kato. I hope you behave yourself today. I hope you behave yourself. I hope you didn't get deported today. I hope you have your papers and just come and go as you want. When you go next time, bring some 2 nice little hats and take me. Go and tell them I beg you. Go and tell them I beg you. Bring 2 nice hats to me. Sarah, Ingrid, Mona, Tintin, and Shamin. I want to thank you all for. Hi, Donna. Hi, Helen. Everybody, you see, first is a Jumbie Kato. I even get to read what the hell they put up. UNC come to stay down with the PNM. Well, UNC can't take this country nowhere. So if them come to stay, the country ain't going nowhere, Kevin. Kevin, oh gosh. UNC come to stay and what? UNC can't take this country further nowhere. The UNC have nobody there. So we will just stick one place right through and the rest of the world will go on without it, Kevin. We're going to only get a blind all the way by default. Because people ain't come out to vote. That's all they win. And all they come together. All the Senate come together. If PNM people come out and vote, all they will not win nothing. So take your win, darling. But they ain't come to stay. Trust me. They ain't come to stay. People don't have a high tolerance for the UNC. Because the UNC don't do nothing. Yeah? This is 2025. We are more evolved. Social media is out there. Geopolitics is running things now. And the Kamala Persad regime is not ready for geopolitics. Really not. They're stuck in those days of 1960-something and 70-something, 80-something. We have gone past that, my darling. So take it away by default. Trust me. They ain't here to stay. So as I said, people have a blessed one. Thank you all so much for joining. Saying truth with everything. And people's, again, all the mothers, happy Mother's Day. Every day should be Mother's Day, of course. And again, I want to say, I wish Dr. Woodland all the best, because if he win, the country would win. I don't have any confidence that he could. That's just me. And that is based on, I don't see him having that type of, but again, who knows? Stranger things have happened. I don't see the UNC doing anything different than 2010-15, might be a little worse. And not because I don't want to see them succeed, but when you watch the players around, all the real men who was there and think could I still do something, all them people going on, you just have, I don't know. It is a horror show. Horror show. We have PM1, PM2, we might have PM3. I don't know. That's just me saying so. And to the People's National Movement, the country is dependent on you. There is a local government election, there's teacher elections. The country is dependent on you. Very soon, the country is going to say we want the PNM back. We're not able with Kamala, and we're not able. It was good for a little bit, but we can't be in this constant state of, we can't be, no, we have to relax and release, and no, we're not able. Not, no, so get all their act together now, and I would recommend, my opinion, that the whole executive resign, give up the membership list, get a proper election supervisory team in place, and let all the start the thing running. You can't want to heal if it had dead flesh till day. You have to clean it out and then let it. If you want to keep the dead flesh, they will not. You go just get one infected, right? It's only 2 weeks, so it's a small thing. In the sense that, in the scheme of things, as I said before, the PNM have gone through this several times. It may not have been as public as it is now, but that is only because of social media. That's the only reason. But they had their own bacchanal and lily and thing. Normal thing. Otherwise, you would say they're not natural, they're from Mars. How they ain't getting on, you know, so it's normal. But people posturing themselves, or not to be the one posting themselves, because they had opportunities and they walk away from it in a huff and a puff and a puff. So allow people, allow them, come out of the people blasted business. And as for the opposition leader, I hope he's not a puppet. I hope several puppet masters not pulling your strings, because strings will start a bust. I hope that when you stand to talk and whatever, it is in the interest of standing to defend. And don't tell me not much, you can oppose everything. Once it is something worth speaking about, you need to speak about it. You can't let things just go under the carpet and it pile up, and then soon, it has so much thing, you know where to start. Yes, talk on everything once it is in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. Because you see to speak on all kind of choppiness every day that some might have no rhyme and reason to it. So as they do something, don't let up. They're 26, you're 13. Don't let up on nothing. Whether she was your teacher or not, that's the next thing. I didn't feel it was necessary for you to mention that was a teacher in a certain class. Congratulations. The fact that it's 3 women and they, you see all that talk about my teacher in the class. So that means to say you were afraid to talk against a teacher? You were afraid to talk harsh? We mentioned that, so keep that to yourself. But as I'm saying again, when you have to talk, you have to talk, whether it's a teacher or no teacher, you have to talk in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago. And you have to talk on everything, because you are going to do all kind of things, so you have everything to talk. You can't pick and choose. You have to politically attack. This is war. Political war. That's Sophie, be nice, and the stick fight. That is okay. That's okay. That's under the parliament, you know. That's under the parliament, you know. So all the women, she's nice. Of course she's a nice lady. Very friendly lady. She could cook, she could carry, she could think, oh God, all that nice. You see that? That's it, we not in parliament with 13 people against 26, you know. You have to come at the A game. Who don't like it could bite it. Because I never said I don't like the opposition leader. I'm just saying, I hope she's up for the task. And what I see now, I'm not feeling confident. But again, stranger things has happened. Me and God, me and the end it and the beginning are all everything. I don't know everything. Yeah? But I can speak on what I see, and I can be proven wrong. I will come back and say I was wrong. I say, oh God, I was wrong. I don't have a problem doing that. So people have a blessed night. See you all on Wednesday. Gospel and comment something, press something. You just say your Jenny, Sister Jenny, Auntie Jenny. And if you don't get formulas, mission for Frederick, another edition that we talk, we take. And PNM people, Don't be sitting down there and look at you. Or she will talk about it. Hello! It's strengthened. I want the damn thing strengthened. And if all afraid to talk, whatever it is, I have no such afflictions because I'm not involved in nothing. That I'm afraid if I lose it and I have position, only man can give me position. And I'm comfortable in my space. Yeah. So, gel out. I love all you.